Senator Kent.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is sort of hard to believe we are here on the last day of regular session. I think Senator Gazelka mentioned this has obviously been a challenging year for a lot of reasons, the whole year and then this particular session. And here we are on this beautiful May afternoon. It's not looking at the strike of midnight like we're used to, but here we are finishing up this session. I do want to comment on the comments first before I talk about this session and where we're moving towards, and reflect on what our colleague from Cook said. And I do believe we all do need to work harder on the decorum in this body. You know, we had a conversation earlier today about the way people are interrupting debate and how we define debate. And I believe that we are at our best when we are allowed to speak and make references and illuminate our points in a number of different ways. And I think I can only best describe it as a gotcha nature of some of the objections that we keep hearing are certainly counter to what I've ever seen in my time in the Minnesota Senate. So before we reconvene again, I hope we can all think about how we can best function, how we can best engage with each other on this floor, because our debate in this hall matters enormously. In thinking about this session, and where we are today, and in looking ahead, because we know we still have work to do, I am really glad that we did get the budget targets announced today. It is obviously an encouraging sign, but I also know that, and I am disappointed that we have not made more progress, and others have described that. We have seen some committees. I mean, I think the fact that the Health and Human Services committees were able to get, I think it was about 500 and some pages, processed through and off our plate will make the process simpler when we have to come back and finish our budget. And I agree with my colleague from St. Paul that we should have done more of that. I think we had an opportunity to, and certainly some committees were able to adopt same and similars, others were not. And I wondered about that a few days ago, and here we are. Minnesotans want us to be focusing on their needs, particularly in this moment when there are more needs than they usually have coming out of this pandemic. And I believe we are positioned to do well, but we could have done better by now. The other thing that I want to say is, as we look forward, and Senator Bigham raised some of this, I really want to encourage everyone involved, but particularly the leadership in the Senate and the House, to make sure that we have a transparent process. You know, something we keep hearing is that partly because of COVID, partly because we have to do so many meetings remotely, and so many of these discussions remotely, that Minnesotans and the media do not have access to see what's going on. And I do believe that as we come into wrapping up this business and putting together a budget for the next biennium that we can enact with confidence as serving the people of Minnesota, we will do that better if we actually do that in front of the people of Minnesota. So you know, it is never a good place to be reflecting on unfinished business. But that is where we are. I am one who's been saying for a while that I felt like the federal dollars were a significant wrinkle in our ability. I felt this is a significant, tremendously significant amount of money that we should not be throwing at a wall and trying to see if that's going to work, that we needed to take the time to understand the federal guidance and for us to work together as a legislature and have say in that process. And so, you know, there are elements of it that I think were a bit unavoidable, but I think we could have done better. And I hope that after we all have a chance to get a little break from each other potentially and a little rest, even though we're probably a little better rested than we usually are at this stage of the end of a regular session, that maybe we can reflect on how we can actually work together better. Minnesotans expect that of us, and they definitely deserve it. Thank you, Mr. President.